Saint Nicholas, the miracle worker. Little of his life is known for certain, except that he was the Bishop of Myra in the 4th century AD. But there are plenty of stories about his life in the Church's tradition. Saint Nicholas is especially known for his vigorous actions in favor of his flock and towards the defense of the faith. But it is through his secret gifts that children from all over the world recognize him. He is more particularly the patron saint of children, sailors, and prisoners. His feast day is December 6th. Saint Nicholas is a patron saint with the most causes in the whole world. It is in the 4th century AD, in the Greco-Roman province of Lycia in Asia Minor, that our story begins. A married couple of great devotion deeply desired a child. Unfortunately, they prayed and wept in vain for 30 years. But one day they had the joy of receiving a son, who they named Nicholas. Early on, he showed signs of chastity by alternating between the breasts of his mother during the fasts of Wednesday and Friday. When Nicholas was still young, a plague struck the city, and his parents passed away. Nicholas went to live with his beloved uncle, the abbot of the nearby monastery. It is there that he started his long life dedicated to the Church, by daily religious practice and by sharing in the prayer sung by the monks. These friars taught him the Holy Scriptures, philosophy, and theology. There was in the city a man, formerly rich, who had 3 daughters of an age to be married. Since he no longer had the means to provide for them with a dowry, his daughters were destined to be sold into slavery, or worse. Word of the family's misfortune reached Nicholas, who had the wealth inherited from his parents. Coming in secret by night, he tossed a bag of gold into the house. It sailed through an open window, landing in a stocking left before the fire to dry. What joy in the morning when the gold was discovered! The first daughter soon wed. Not long after, another bag of gold again appeared mysteriously. The second daughter then wed. The father, wanting to know who his benefactor was, kept watch during the following nights. A third bag of gold landed inside the house, and the watchful father leapt up and caught the fleeing donor. "Oh, Nicholas, it's you!" cried the father. "You have saved my daughters from certain disaster." Nicholas, embarrassed, begged the man to keep his identity secret. "You must thank God alone for providing these gifts in answer to your prayers." It is due to this act that Saint Nicholas is symbolized by 3 golden balls. Apples or oranges are sometimes used instead of the gold. One day, in the city of Myra, the bishop died. The other bishops met in order to find a replacement, but could not discern the right choice. One night, the oldest and the wisest of the bishops heard a voice telling him to watch the church doors. The first person, named Nicholas, to enter was to be the new bishop. The wise bishop shared his vision with the others and urged them to pray before the doors. The first person to come to church that morning was our Nicholas. Having learned his name, the bishop announced to him that he would be the new bishop. Nicholas protested that he was too young to be a bishop. The bishops affirmed to him that thus was God's will. And that is how Nicholas became Bishop of Myra, where he protected the poor, was an advocate for justice, and a defender of the Catholic faith. Indulgent, wise, and without fear, he was a true shepherd for his flock. During that time, Diocletian, great persecutor of Christians, ordered the arrest of all the priests of the church. But even in prison, Nicholas continued to teach the Word of God. When Constantine became emperor, Christian persecution ceased. Bishop Nicholas returned home. In Lycia, many were still following the natural religion of Rome. The fertility goddess, Artemis, was the most popular in the region. Nicholas realized that some in his care were going to the temple of Artemis and other places of worship to make sacrifices. There was danger that his flock would return to their old idolatry of demonic origins. With great force and zeal, Nicholas destroyed those places of worship to drive away demons and restore peace. From the temple, not even the foundations remained. The fleeing demons inspired the people's awe of God. There is talk of a terrible fight between St. Nicholas and Artemis that lasted during the whole life of the saint and beyond. In 325 AD, the Emperor Constantine called for the First Ecumenical Council of Nicaea. More than 300 bishops from all of Christendom came to debate the Catholic faith. In particular, the intense theological question of the nature of the Trinity was discussed. Arius of Egypt taught that Jesus, the Son, was not of the same substance than God, the Father. Arius forcefully argued his position. The bishops listened respectfully. Nicholas became more and more agitated and could no longer bear those attacks against his faith. The outraged Nicholas got up, crossed the room, and slapped Arius across the face. The bishops were shocked. It was unbelievable that a bishop would lose control in such a solemn assembly. The bishops stripped Nicholas of his episcopal garments, chained him, and threw him into jail. Nicholas was ashamed. He prayed for forgiveness, but he never wavered in his belief. During the night, Jesus and Mary, his mother, appeared to him. Jesus then gave him the book of the Gospels, signifying that he was right. Mary gave him a bishop's garment, meaning that he was worthy of his function. When the jailer came in the morning, he found the chains loose on the floor, and Nicholas, dressed in a bishop's robe, quietly reading the scriptures. When Constantine was told of this, the emperor ordered that Nicholas be freed and reinstated as Bishop of Myra. The Council of Nicaea agreed with Nicholas's views, deciding the question against Arius. The council produced the Nicene Creed, profession of the Catholic faith, still in use today. This creed brought peace and unity to Christendom. The council discussions were sometimes long and boring. Once, during dinner, Nicholas fell asleep. As he slept, Nicholas heard voices calling his name. Leaving his sleeping body leaning on the table, he followed the voices. After traveling a long way, he arrived in the middle of the sea. A mighty storm raged, putting a ship in great danger. The sailors cried to Nicholas for help. Nicholas raised his hands, and the storm stopped. He blessed the sailors and returned to the council like nothing had happened. One day, 3 generals were sent to stop a revolt in Phrygia. These generals landed in a port of Lycia. Some soldiers were sent to Myra to buy supplies. Seeing an opportunity, troublemakers impersonated these soldiers and looted the city. When the true soldiers arrived, they were mobbed and arrested by the people. Hearing the noise, Nicholas hurried to the place of execution. The 3 soldiers were in position. Their faces were covered. Their hands were bound, waiting for death. The executioner held the sword up in readiness. Fearlessly, Nicholas grabbed the sword, threw it to the ground, and freed the men. Three small children were gleaning in the fields. Walking about, they forgot the time. As the sun was setting, the children were becoming hungry, tired, and lost. They came to a lit butcher's shop and knocked at the door. The butcher greeted them. As they entered, the butcher took a sharp knife, cut them up, and put them in a large salting tub. 7 years pass. Someone knocks at the door. St. Nicholas appears. He orders the butcher to open the tub. The saint puts his hands on the tub and ordered the children to rise. They rose, got out of the tub, and rejoined their families. Since this time, St. Nicholas is the patron saint of children. As Nicholas came to the end of his life, he prayed that God would send his angels to receive his spirit. When he saw the angels, he spoke the psalm, "I have hope in thee, O Lord. Into thine hands I commend my spirit." He gave up his spirit December 6th of the year 343. There was a huge procession at his funeral, and his body was put into the Cathedral of Myra. From his tomb flowed a pure and beneficial water called manna. In 1087 AD, Italians came for the relics of St. Nicholas and brought them back to Bari. This is why he is also called the Saint of Bari. The story of Nicholas does not stop there. Among other things, he performed miraculous cures, charmed dragons, fought against famine, lowered taxes. Furthermore, many people attested, after his death, of multiple miracles obtained through his intercession. All those things, added little by little, to the grand legend of St. Nicholas, the Confessor, Bishop of Myra.